Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Good morning, Crust. It's a great day to be a bread brother.
Ugh, mornings are not my jam. Or jelly.
Oh, come on. Stop loafing around.
I just woke up feeling hollow inside.
Just grab one of the new Morning Uncrustables sandwiches, like Bright-Eyed Berry or Up an Apple, filled with 12 grams of protein and tons of deliciousness. Crust, what are you eating?
It's just granola, not even yogurt.
No crust, no fuss. Uncrust your mornings.
Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Midweek Pod with me, Ed. And today, Tom, it's been a while, Tom. How's it going?
Has been a little bit of a while. Had a bit of a slight problem with a ticker, but all good.
Yeah.
All good now, yeah, all good.
You may look young, but you're in the body of a 65-year-old man, apparently.
This is it. When you've been watching United for the last 13 years and getting too involved. I have genuinely been watching the games on mute quite recently, especially that Everton game. I was like, I'm going to have to put this on mute because it's going to drive me too mad and the doctor's going to have a word. Yeah, it's not a good time to have a bad ticker and also be a United fan, especially even on Monday night as well. God.
Chaos that one was. Yeah, I cannot reconcile the Everton performance with the Bournemouth performance. I mean, you can dig into some of the tactical changes. They are not as radical as some people are saying. There was a couple of positional shifts. They pushed Ahmad very far forward. Yoro covered the right-hand channel as he does. But if you look at the average touch map, it doesn't look that different from normal stuff. But I think the approach was more open. They did push more players forward and we got some bloody good players, actually. You know, so it's not balanced, the squad, but we've got good players and they can score goals. And they did score goals. And Bournemouth do ship a few as well, and have a terrible record on the road. But then we can see the load as well. And then you look at Everton and up for 10 men for 77 minutes and barely tried to attack.
It genuinely felt that Amorim responded to Scholes' comments like really, really personally and was like, okay, I'm going to show him.
He's getting very tetchy at the moment, Amorim.
Yes.
I mean, I really, really, really did not like. He was asked about Kobbie Mainoo and who we're going to get onto in a little bit, and he chucked 3 youngsters under the bus. That's not bueno, mate. There's, shitting on the culture of the club. I don't think that gets you anywhere. What are you trying to prove?
I know, like you say, really defensive, really tetchy, really insecure. I went to watch United under 21s against Tamworth on Tuesday night. I thought a bit nice to get out in the open air. And I said on Blue Sky, I might just go and take the Amorim approach and just go there slagging off our under 21s, like Cheeto Wobby for not starting for the under 21s.
You're shit, and you're shit too.
And Amorim was having to use you last season.
Your free Cheeto t-shirt was interesting.
Well, yeah. When somebody think of the Ruben, yeah, it's really like, come on, mate. These are literal children that you're throwing under the bus, saying that Harry Amas hasn't been great in the Championship when he's playing for the worst team that have maybe ever played in the Championship.
I'm playing very well, yeah, and the club decided that was a good idea.
Yeah, and Charlie McNeil's playing well for them as well. Been scoring goals recently. Honestly, it's just really, really very weird behaviour, especially at a club like United who have such a rich history in it. This is the only thing that we actually have going for us now is our record, and you're shitting all over it like Mourinho.
Yeah, I think he didn't quite read the room on that one. I do worry about his, as you therapists would say, his emotional regulation. I don't think he's very good at it, and sometimes this comes out, and I don't think it serves him very well. He'd be well to be a bit more introspective and not so defensive sometimes. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Ruben today, talk about the Kobbie Mainoo situation, Bruno Fernandes interview, Women's Champions League. United qualified for the playoff phase of this group stage. It's very complicated. I don't know how and why they designed it like this, and then we're going to look forward to Villa away at the weekend, playing probably the informed team in the division. All right, so today, Ben Jacobs of Give Me Sport and Talk Sport fame, I was going to say.
Does have a lot of Twitter followers, doesn't he?
He does. That's because he talks about transfers, and that's all people ever really want to talk about. So he claimed on the United Stand Rage Bait channel that Kobbie Mainoo knew about his half-brother's T-shirt. T-shirt said "Free Kobbie Mainoo," and in fact endorsed the message, and he was communicating via the medium of his brother's T-shirt. Colour me really fucking suspicious. Hey, could prove to be true. I don't have inside information on this one, so I'm not claiming anything here. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo knew about it and endorsed it, and it's a bit childish if you're going to do it like that. There's much better ways to get a move if you really want that. But Ben was consistently and thoroughly and totally and utterly wrong about the takeover every single fucking day for absolutely months. So, I don't know, credibility. And he also just prints FIFA spin verbatim, no challenge at all. Pure client journalism. So I'm suspicious until a grown-up actually says this is true. So if the guys at The Athletic report the same thing because they've heard the same thing, I'll do that. If Andy Mitten gets into details, he sometimes talks in generalities about players like this, which I don't think is always helpful. I may be on board with this narrative. I'm also very suspicious about the club because I think they are quite happy to chuck people under the bus when it suits them. Anyway, what's your reaction to today's news?
Like you say, it's very hard to take it as real news. But when it comes from someone not as well respected, but as someone has the amount of followers that he does have,
big platform,
is a really huge platform. It's obviously worrying, and you think, is he going to put his reputation, his very not particularly gold standard reputation, but a reputation on the line for this? I think it's very hard to understand how you would have actually sourced this information.
Well, there's only two places it can come from.
Exactly. Yeah. Where is this coming from? I think if we kind of look at the stuff that we know and that we see, you look at the way that Kobbie Mainoo has conducted himself on the pitch every single time he comes on, and he's come on a lot this season in the 88th, 89th, 90th minute, and every single time he has the bit between his teeth. Even against Grimsby, he played terribly in the game against Grimsby.
I don't know if he was that bad, honestly.
I thought at times that his passing was just terrible, and that's not to say that I don't think he was trying. I think it felt like he was trying too hard in that game. And the pitch was terrible as well, and it was awful conditions. The whole team was playing terribly. It felt like he was but in that game he was putting so much effort in. I genuinely believe that every single time he comes on the pitch, you can tell he is working really hard. He's always looking for the ball, always getting on the ball. And I guess sometimes when you get on the ball so much, it looks like you're playing worse than you are because you're getting on it more than maybe the guy next to you who's not getting on the ball as much and not making as many mistakes because, like Bruno, for example. Bruno makes a lot of mistakes because he's trying things all the time, he's getting on the ball all the time. On Monday night, Mainoo was absolutely fantastic. And
he was good, yeah.
And from what we see on the pitch, I just don't see a player who is throwing his toys out the pram. I don't see a player who's going through the motions. I see a player who's putting everything he can to get himself in the starting 11. And I think the fact that it's very hard to to know where to fall on this, but it just feels like, why would he endorse that situation? Because it makes him look absolutely terrible. And yeah, he's a young lad. Yeah, he might make mistakes, but I think in the way that someone like Garnacho, I would potentially maybe have expected this kind of silly, childish behaviour from. I don't see it from Mainoo. Mainoo doesn't sulk when he's on the pitch. He doesn't throw his toys out the pram. He's quite methodical. When you hear him speak, he's very, very smart. He's very mature for his age. He even really, really has a great taste in hip hop, which I think is a very good sign that he's a very well mature man. Very, very, very good. He absolutely.
Well, unless we find out he's listening to Kanye, then...
he is not. He is. Mad villain kind of guy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It would feel very out of character, which is what I think you're saying. There's
mad
been
villain.
no reports.
I said mad villain. I meant mad villain. Jesus.
Yeah. I knew what you meant. I would never claim to be a hip hop aficionado. I struggle to really get into it, to be honest. It's not like I hate hip hop, but I would not be able to answer a quiz on hip hop with a lot of authority, gotta say. But it feels out of character for Kobbie. There's been no reports that he's down tools in training. I think we can safely say he did ask for a loan move. He's not asked for a permanent move. He wants game time. He hasn't sulked visibly when he's come on or anything like that. He's trying hard. He's not had very many minutes ever, really. I mean, he got half an hour the other day and was pretty good, probably his best half an hour of the season. He's played 3.5 full 90s this season. He got 5 full 90s under Amorim last season. He's just barely played for a year, basically, and he's a young player who needs to develop. And so, and the fact that he's asked for a loan suggests to me that he really wants to play for United and he's waiting to see whether Amorim is here long-term or not, and he just wants to develop. So this feels out of character. If he really did want to communicate via the medium of his brother, it's a bit odd, right? And it's funny, it was printed in a Nike font as well. So there's a Nike, I should say, since I'm based in these parts these days.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on a minute, is this coming from the sponsor? This is a bit weird. So it's all very strange. I find it hard to credibly believe that, him and his team were like, oh yeah, we should do this. Great idea. Like, unless your goal is to burn bridges, like the Ronaldo interview with Piers Morgan, right? Yeah. Burn so many bridges that you get the move that you want. If that was his goal, he could have just put in a transfer request and pushed to leave in the summer. And probably the club would have done that, because everything I've heard previously from some people in private as well is that the club were quite happy to sell because of the PSR position and the cash position. So, hey, I don't know. It just feels very odd, right? It's such a odd thing for Kobbie to do in his situation, where the reasonable thing and the thing that's more likely to work is just have that conversation with the manager and Jason Wilcox and Barada and so on, and see if that'll happen or not. If he wants that loan move. That said, I always feel I'm out of kilter with a lot of the online United fan base on this kind of stuff, because it's childish. From Jordan, that is. By the way, Jordan, what's he called? Haynes Mainoo. He didn't attach the Mainoo name to himself until his brother got famous. Anyway, it just doesn't bother me that much. I wrote a long piece on my Substack back in August with the Garnacho stuff. It seems to wind fans up so much, and I guess it's because it feels like they're no longer part of the tribe, and football is tribal, and that's why people get so angry about this kind of stuff. What really matters is performances on the pitch, and I'm much more interested, personally, it's just personal opinion, in the pathway for Kobbie Mainoo to develop his talent to the fullest extent possible, because he's not a fully rounded player. I want him to be braver, personally. I want him to get more touches on the ball, 80 to 100 a game, not 40 to 60. I want him to be braver with his passing, be a bit more progressive. I don't think he's ever going to be a real athlete, but, and I've said this before, I think if you think about the type of player he is, Luka Modric is the kind of archetype, right?
Yeah.
Not saying he's as good or anything like that, but I want him to develop and see how far he can go. And I want that to be at United. The problem is that he Ruben Amorim is absolutely never going to play 3 men in midfield, and there's no balance that has Kobbie Mainoo in a 2-man midfield. So I just don't see how you can square that circle. And I'm sure Kobbie, as you said, he's quite intelligent. He must know this too and get it, right? And so the end game is a transfer at some point. But given that, I think if that was where everyone came to the conclusion, transfer if Amorim doesn't stay, that is, and we'll find out in the summer, right? But if that is the conclusion, the club will go for it too, because he's quite useful to sell from an accounting perspective. So anyway, it all feels very weird, and I'm pretty suspicious until, as I said before, a grown-up actually confirms this.
It's the final chapter of the college football playoff.
It comes down to this.
Miami's unmatched grit and tenacity through the postseason has led them home. The national title now within reach.
They are confident. They are battle-tested.
Undefeated Indiana, led by Chris Signetti and Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza, have the chance to take home their first title and claim college football immortality.
The most remarkable turnaround in the history of college football.
The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A 6-pack of abs? Nope. 6-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
I think it felt like a prankster would wear this kind of shirt, and what those types of messages and those types of incidents do and are designed to do is create division. And I think you've got to, if you're just watching it from the outside, is not trying to fall into that trap and then letting it sow division like it's going to. Because what is the ultimate thing is you're trying to create that friction. And if you're going, okay, all of a sudden I'm going to choose Amorim's side, then I'm going to hate Mainoo. You even if you're choosing the different side, you're letting that incident win. And that's the reason why you can't buy in, you can't get involved too much. You can't get too angry. You can't get too emotional, because at the end of the day, what we need more than anything, which will help those performances on the pitch, is the solidarity, is the togetherness. And you can't be going out hating our own players because of an incident that the brother's done. Like, even if it's so ridiculous and stupid and grim and very like childish and prankster-esque. And Kobbie Mainoo is the epitome of one of the many things that is great about this football club, is that he's a young player from the greater Manchester area who's made it, and is one of, if not almost technically, beautiful players to watch. He's so silky, he's so glossy. The way that he came on the other night and receiving the ball on the half turn, doing little jinky passes, progressing the ball forward. I think those things that, like you say, we want to see more of. I thought that we did see in glimpses on Monday night, but like you also allude to, there's just not a place for him which is suited to his style of play. And you say, hey, maybe he could play in the Bruno position. Yeah, maybe he could play in the position that Bruno's playing right now, but Bruno is a better footballer right now than Kobbie Mainoo, and he's more suited to that position also. And therefore, unless, which we're going to get into Bruno comments in a second, unless they ship Bruno out, there's going to be no room for Mainoo anyway. And also,
it's not even what Amorim wants from that.
Exactly. Amorim doesn't want that there. And he also, I don't think he trusts Mainoo, because I get the feeling that Amorim just doesn't generally trust young players. And you might go, oh yeah, he's been playing Aid in Heaven, but he's also been playing Aid in Heaven out of necessity. And I kind of also wonder why he's been playing in the centre personally. But yeah, I think his distrust and, well, I'm going to say it, dislike clearly about young players, the way he was going on about Collier, the way he was going on about Chido Obi, the one who was going about Harry Amas.
It's not cool.
It's not cool. And Kobbie Mainoo is what makes this great great club so great. And if we do end up selling him in the summer, it's going to be a sad day for United, in my opinion.
Well, there's it would seem there's interest from Napoli in a loan. They may be interested in a full-time. They've got problems in central midfield. I mean, Lobotka's just come back, and Guisa's been injured for a while. Scott McTominay, they've either played on the left or slightly further forward. They sort of play a 3-4-3 under Conte, but it's a very different way of playing it than Amorim. None of the sort of up, back and through kind of tactics, pretty basic really from Amorim generally. He would probably suit that system. He'd give them a little bit of technicality and control in that midfield. He's probably seen the success that McTominay's had, and to a slightly lesser extent, Højlund, who's not scored loads, but I think his performances have been okay. And that might be a good place for him, right? So they seem to be extremely keen, insofar as the president has come out and said, we're keen. So, I think we can probably take that one at face value. Kobbie, unless he's looking for a permanent transfer, probably isn't looking for a move to another Premier League club. Although, would I be surprised if Chelsea were interested in the summer? Absolutely not. They need midfielders as well. They do play three in the middle of the park there, and don't really have a profile like his. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. And there'd be a lot of teams, I think, who want that kind of technical midfielder would be interested in him. One report I saw this week said there are 10 clubs that expressed interest, and they might not be City, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich yet, but it will be technical teams that are interested in him, and there'll be lots of them because he, until Amorim came, he put in lots of very high quality performances for a Manchester United team that was struggling, but he was one of the star players. He played in the Euro final. He was man of the match in the FA Cup final against City, and so on and so on and so on.
And you could even argue that he changed the England team when he came into that England team. He made them a lot more progressive in midfield and added that little bit of technical quality that they were missing. It's not just for United. It's not just United bias that is clouding our vision here. It's saying, oh yeah, because for that couple of 18 months or so, it was so good for United. It was literally proven on the biggest stage playing for England as well. When you talk about it like that, it's so sad, I think, what's happened. And I fear that him going to Chelsea in the summer and the way that United have been at throwing players under the buses, that he'll go to Chelsea and leave under a cloud, and it just won't get the respect and the credit he deserves, and therefore potentially be booed when he comes back to Old Trafford because of the spin doctor the spin that United have been doing with players so far. I'm really hoping it wouldn't happen, but I don't know. That's one of my fears, I guess.
Yeah, United are perfectly willing to chuck players under the bus like that. Fan service, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, another player that may leave in this great midfield revamp that is going to happen, but at least we can be more confident about some exits, is Bruno Fernandes, who gave an interview to Canal 11, Portuguese TV station. So sorry if I'm not familiar. And apparently this took place in November, but has only just been broadcast. It was at Carrington by the looks of it from the video footage. I don't know exactly how that happened or why, but I presume that was endorsed by the club, given that it took place on club property. He said a lot of very interesting things, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said that he had the feeling the directors wanted him to go. He wanted to stay for family reasons. He could have made a lot more money. He had a chat to Amorim. The manager wanted him to stay. Feels like that narrative is set now that the club didn't force him to go, didn't say we want you to go, but had an offer on the table and wouldn't have been that upset about taking the money. And Bruno and the manager together decided to stay. But he also said some things that felt a little bit contradictory, or at least different story. A year before, he said, I could have gone a year before. I won't say where, but I would have won lots of trophies. And at that point, the club said, no, we don't want you to go, right? I'm paraphrasing, but so the story, the narrative changed over the course of that year by the sounds of it. So what do you make of this Bruno interview? At least that for the big headlines around the transfer.
I find it really, really puzzling more than anything. I just didn't understand because usually when you see these types of interviews and when they're so vocal and when they're really, really pointed, like Bruno was about the United directorship, usually there's quite an obvious subtext and there's an obvious reason why they're doing it. So, for example, like just a very obvious example is that like Salah coming out in the mix zone for the 4th time the other day. But with this, I know, like you said, this was a November interview, but I just don't understand it. I don't know why he's done it. Like, what is the reason for it? Are you just venting? Are you just trying to get things off your chest? But why now? Why would you need to do that? I just don't. It feels really weird, and I can't get my head around it, and I can't understand it. I understand his gripes completely. Like as he said in the interview, I've given my all for this club, so much more than players around me. Yeah, everyone around me. I think almost he was kind of intimating that, and talking about players that also were at the club, and maybe that's potentially where it came from, a frustration potentially at the players around him who were potentially not meeting the standards he expects and he wants. Now he's still staying at this club, and maybe that's where he's come from, that he turned down all this money in the summer and still the people around me are still letting me down. Maybe it's something to do with that. And
it felt like that. It felt like that. Because he did pointedly talk. He said, I give my all, and when I see other players not respond like that, it makes me sad. Again, I'm paraphrasing. I mean, I have all the quotes in front of me here, but it's pretty much what he's saying. So I can understand his frustration. He's not really given interviews like this before. It's not like
that's why it feels so puzzling.
It does feel, and it feels like honest rather than agenda driven. I mean, we could be wrong about that. Maybe it is setting the scene to leave in the summer, and because he said he's 31 now, so he said, I'd like to go back to Sporting. I'd like to try win trophies in Spain and Italy, and maybe I could go to Saudi Arabia and have the sun, because I've been 6 years in the rain and the cold in Manchester. So that's an awful lot of destinations to get to before the end of your career, Bruno. I'm not sure he's going to make all of those. But well, who do you reckon the club he could have gone to? Not last summer, 18 months ago. He said, I could have gone and won many trophies.
I know. It's no one in England, clearly. And you're thinking, what? Barcelona? I can't think that. But maybe Barcelona or PSG. But then if he's thinking Italy, like, surely he would have never gone to Italy either. So I'm only... No. It's not that there's only kind of a handful, like 2 or 3 clubs I feel like it could have been. And it wouldn't be Real Madrid.
Someone that plays with a creative 10, really. Well, now he's an 8, I suppose. But Bayern play with those kind of creative players. Barcelona do. Real Madrid do not. PSG could have been PSG. Had won lots of trophies, obviously, but they had adjusted their strategy to bring in younger players, not big stars like that. Yeah. So it is. I don't know exactly. What else did he say? I said, I genuinely love the club. I don't think there's any doubts about that. He said, people value players who win trophies more. And I think that is right, because the narrative around Bruno, at least online, is unbelievably critical for the quality he puts in. Yeah. Every single metric you can think about, he's near the top, both defensive and attacking. And he may not be the best positionally defensive, and that may be instructional as well. He's not supposed to sit there. You've got to give United some kind of a balance between the defence and the attack. But every single metric is off the charts, and it has been forever. He creates hundreds and hundreds of chances. He's got way more goals and assists than way more than Lampard and Gerrard over their careers, having played fewer games, just beats them on every single metric. And I think it really is. It's to do with this. United have been crap, and he's tarred with the same brush by some people.
Yeah, and I think this is, in some ways, the general discourse that happens in football, and I guess to a wider extent sport, that you have to win something to be seen as the best. Like, you see it with like players in the NBA all the time. They've got to win an NBA finals, or an NFL player's got to win the Super Bowl, or Messi, for example, couldn't be the best player in the world for a certain period of time until he eventually won that World Cup. And like they used to say about Ronaldo, is that he's not won he's not won a trophy with Portugal. It's kind of just all bollocks, really, isn't it? Because like at the end of the day,
11 players on a team.
Exactly. If you put if you put, well, maybe not Messi in the United team, but we literally did put Cristiano Ronaldo in this team, and yeah, he was a lot older, but we're still crap. And even if you put prime Ronaldo in our team, we would have probably still been pretty crap. Like, there's only so much you can do, and I guess the difference is, weirdly, and maybe this is because Gerrard is a Scouser, but like, Liverpool were pretty rubbish for most of the time that Gerrard was at Liverpool.
But ex-Liverpool players who are pundits boost their team, unlike United pundits who are only critical.
That's very true, yeah. And yeah, if you think back to like when literally almost every single week on Match of the Day it used to be Mark Lawrenson and Alan Hansen, and the amount of grief that they would give to United and the amount of love that they would give to Liverpool while doing that. And then you see whoever it is, you see his Paul Scholes, you see his Gary Neville. It's just consistent negativity from our media.
Yeah. I don't. Rio maybe is the only one who sometimes
but he's
is a bit
dick though. Just he is. He's a knob.
I'm not disagreeing. He's wobbly gob tosser, as Reddish used to call him. Yeah,
but he is probably the most likely, like, most pro United guy. So it just makes it even worse in some respects.
I'm looking forward to reading John Paul O'Neill's book about United in the 90s. I feel like I will relate to an awful lot of that. So I need to get myself a copy of that one. I should reach out, get him on the pod. We'll talk about it. That's an aside. But yeah, it is interesting that there isn't, apart from Rio, they're just almost universally critical and negative, and the two worst in that respect are Scholes and Keane. And sometimes they say interesting stuff, but a lot of the time it's kind of they're selling grievance and nostalgia, and that kind of shtick just gets a bit tired after a while. I think they could do more, right? Two greats of the game, they could offer a bit more insight rather than just it's crap and
I think because they're such big personalities as well, then people cower to them a little bit. So when they're on the show, like Keane's like so aggressive and angry, and he's great entertainment, and he's a great pundit because of that, in terms of like for the neutral. But I mean, if you're in the box with him and you're going, actually, I don't think it's actually that bad what we've been today, and then you're going to get a glare from Keane, and you're going to have to suffer the consequence of being in that environment with him. And therefore, and big personalities just seem to shrink other personalities. So therefore, when you've got like a big bit of a bully kind of being, not saying that he's a bully, but he definitely has tendencies and characteristics of that. And
he gives bullying vibes, that's for sure.
He definitely does. Yeah. Then people are going to cower a little bit, and people end up setting the agenda somewhat.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And they have really big platforms, both through their TV work and the overlap and good bad football podcasts and all of the stuff they do. The frustration, and it's not just those guys, right? It's generally with punditry. There are so few who offer the kind of insight that only top pros could have, because only they have been in the dressing room of top teams and with the biggest personalities in football and won it all and have all the stories. And we get so little of that in comparison to the kind of generalistic, hyperbolic, clippable stuff, which is like these kind of overviews about passion and all that kind of nonsense. And I just think they could offer so much more, right? And it's so few, just generally so few. And Danny Higginbottom, who we have out here on NBC, is very good every single time, right?
Yeah, he always was great.
Yeah, he always was great. And it's just like so many of the broadcasters, they know that in order to get the reach, that younger people are not necessarily watching the 90 minutes of the game, but they are consuming social media, and for something to play on social media, it has to be very, very tight and usually rage baiting and angry, because that's what triggers all the algorithms. And I think the pundits, whether they're pushed by the producers or whether they just know it instinctively themselves, tend to go down that route of being just kind of very glib about stuff and not offering real insight and analysis.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet-slackbot to learn more.
I also think that while they are right to feel, because when they were at United, it was amazing, and now they're kind of, it must hurt to see the way that the standards have slipped, and therefore I can understand why they would be angry, and I can understand why they would have such grievances. Yeah, it's not the same as it was in my day, and it isn't, and I can understand that. But it's also very easy, and I think that's what, because they were such legends like Scholes, Gary Neville, Keane, they don't have to think that much. They're gonna get a platform where you compare it to like you say, Danny Higginbottom. Yeah, obviously United legend in his own right, but how many games did he play for the club? Less than 20.
Yeah.
And to get a job in the media, he's gonna have to work a bit harder. He's gonna have to think a bit more. He's gonna have to actually produce something insightful for him to find work. And you see that with the lesser pros sometimes when you hear them on Ned and Manoa, I think is very, very good, a very good thinker, and really, really talks well about the game. But you think, well, what kind of career did he have? Yeah, obviously a very, very decent one compared to us two. But in terms of compared to Keane, he's nowhere near. But I know who I'd rather listen to, and maybe if I'm feeling like I just want to hear a bit of a rant, I'd listen to Keane. But if I want some actual insight, Ned and Manoa is so much better. I think that's the problem with them. They're just well, all we need to do is just turn up on a Saturday. You don't really need to think for the week. You can walk my dog all week and then turn up and shout at clouds after United lose 1-0 to Everton.
They are doing the thing in punditry that they criticise pros are doing all the time. They're kind of phoning it in, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was a little segue away from Bruno Fernandes. We'll see what happens with Bruno. I mean, it could be a mega rebuild in the summer if Kobbie is potentially off, and maybe Bruno. We'll see. Casemiro's out of contract, and they're certainly not going to renew it at $350K a week. Probably likely off because he's. I don't know. I mean, he's won so much that it's a status thing, isn't it? To take a massive wage cut would be. And then Ugarte will be sold, I'm sure, under the new 2 years and you're out rule. That's potentially 4 players out. That's a hell of a rebuild to try and do that, especially given, I mean, United have a lot of squad cost ratio headroom, hundreds of millions of pounds, but have no cash. So really they can only rebuild with what they take. And there could be an imbalance there. So anyway, we'll see. There's time for that one to happen. It won't be in January. Kobbie may go in January, but there won't be 4 players out in January. We were going to talk about the women's team who beat Juventus in Italy on Wednesday night. I think they finished 6th in this Swiss format Women's Champions League table. The top 4 automatically qualify for the quarterfinals, and then the next 8, so down to 12th place in a 16-team league, qualify, and the 2 blocks of seeded and unseeded as a result. Very unnecessarily complicated format. And so anyway, all washes out that United will play Atletico Madrid in the playoff, or the round of 16, in order to then face who? I forget. Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals, and then potentially Barcelona in the semis. It's tough road from here. Bit of a blip Mark Skinner's team have had recently. A frustrating draw with Spurs, where they were 3-0 down and came back to draw. A great second half. They were smashed by Olympique Lyonnais and Wolfsburg in consecutive weeks in the Champions League. Very narrow win against West Ham. Wasn't a very good performance. It's kind of been... I mean, I think we talked about it previously, just how thin the squad was and any injuries or rotation, and they struggle a little bit.
Yeah, lost to Villa before that as well, didn't we?
Yeah. And got smashed by City.
Yeah. That City game, I think, is a really good encapsulation of just where United are right now. Because that City game was just very, very obvious that we actually play really, really good football. In that City game, we actually play a better football than them. And they just beat us because they have more quality. And I think that matters, I think, even more so in the women's game than it does the men's game, with having potentially a bit more space and maybe the quality difference also being a bit more pronounced. because you have a player like Bunny Shaw, who's just
unbelievably clinical,
unbelievably clinical in that final third in the penalty box, and you compare that to the way United played that day. Beautiful football, beautiful patterns of play, and getting it into the final third, into the penalty box, but not having a Bunny Shaw, and not having
Elizabeth Turland's had a bit of a difficult season, really. I thought we'd get more from her, but
a couple of great performances in Europe, and then also like City had Lauren Hemp as well, who's just unbelievable and so much better than anything that we had. And then and you go to like the recent run that we've had, and where like Mark Skinner rests a couple of players against Lyon to concentrate on the league game against Tottenham, and you see we just way off it when you start to rest a couple of players, because the players that come in, even though I really love like Leo Goldson and puts in like huge shifts, but just in terms of quality, just not quite at the level that you need from a Champions League team. And then it also backfires. Like we somehow go 3-0 down to Tottenham on Saturday with them having, I think, 4 shots on target.
Yeah.
And
4 shots, again, 3 goals, and I think United had like 30-something. Mad.
I think it was 34 shots we had on Saturday, and like huge chances as well. You see our XG, I think it was nearly 5 in that game. Just not quite clinical enough. And we've got a lot of
shots,
a lot of players who look great on the ball. And like, I love Jess Park. She's so good. And you think Elatude's like so silky, and then you see Jess Park next to her, and you think we've got a lot of players like that. It's just not quite that quality in the final act that is the difference at this level. And I think against Atletico Madrid, we've got a huge chance, because we obviously beat them away, and we had that stupid sending off quite early in that game as well. But then when you get to Bayern Munich, and especially Barcelona, that's when it gets really, really tough. And I think that difference right now, we play some lovely football, but we are almost a bit like the Arsenal men's team of previous years, like look really good, but just not quite incisive enough.
Yeah, Atletico Madrid got hammered by Lyon on the same night United beat Juventus. I think it's not obvious that United will definitely beat them, but it's a team that United could beat.
And we have beaten them this season already.
Yeah, I remember that game. It's high quality performance. So backs against the wall a little bit, wasn't it? And then defended really well. Yeah. It's United could do with doing some business. They've got the game this weekend, and I think there's the break after that for a couple of weeks, isn't it? And then we go into the window. They could do with investment there. And as I've said before, there's so much room for United to invest in this team, and it wouldn't take very much for them to bring in some quality. They could most definitely do with a bit more quality up front, or another body at least, right? High quality would be great, but definitely another body, because they struggle there, and they really need some support at fullback as well. We ended up, probably another central defender, honestly, because an injury or two, and then your Maya Letizia is on her own. I think Gabby George played in 1 or 2 games, didn't she? So it's just a very, very thin squad, just not set up to play Champions League football and compete in the Women's Super League. And 4 into 3 doesn't go. You know, you've got City doing really well this season. Obviously, Chelsea barely ever did lose the other day. Arsenal have had some challenges this season, both in Europe and domestically, and that's what gives United a chance at making next season's Champions League. But if this team's going to progress and the owners aren't going to pump more money in, then that's really the only way you can grow your revenue base and continue to bring in high quality players, is making European football. And there's basically zero money in the, do they call it the Women's Europa League, the second tier competition?
Yeah.
So I forget what it's called now. That's also a kind of Swiss format, I believe, as well, with fewer teams. But anyway, the prize is there, much like on the men's side, really. But they just have a very thin squad for Mark Skinner. He takes a lot of heat, but he's getting quite a lot of performances out of this thin squad.
I think he does get a lot of heat, but I think he's done a really, really good job. And I feel like every time we've doubted him in the past, he's actually kind of turned it around quite quickly. And I also just, the results in recent times haven't been great, but I also just love the way that this team play. They play really, really good football. Like it's just like super enjoyable to watch. And like you say, a thin squad, a squad that's been relatively to the teams around them on a bit of a shoestring, and especially in terms of the quality that those other three bring in compared to what we bring in is kind of night and day. And I think he has overachieved over the past couple of years. And for us to be sometimes the third best team, sometimes the third best team out of these fours is kind of impressive in its own way. And even if we were the fourth best team and quite close, I still think that's impressive considering the squad and the players that we have compared to the other three.
Yeah. All right. Well, that tie doesn't take place until February. Quite a break now on the European front. United could definitely do with some results domestically before we head into the winter break. We mentioned transfer window coming up for the men's side as well. A lot of talk this week about Antoine Semenyo, not just because we played Bournemouth and he scored a great goal. I mean, he's a really high-quality player, a very flexible high-quality player. Yeah. I mean, I'd definitely take him at United. I think a lot of top teams would, because of his flexibility. He's very two-footed. He can beat players. He's a very good finisher. I've not seen any drama from him, really. And he has this release clause, which makes negotiation pretty easy. Really, I don't think United have a clear run out of this. I'm not even clear that United will go for it. We have no cash on hand. It'd have to be an interesting deal because we couldn't pay up front if that's what Bournemouth demanded to meet the release clause. There isn't £16.5 million worth of cash in the bank. They'd have to extend the loan somehow in order to do it. The other question is it a priority if we were going to spend money this winter? Is another forward? I mean, sure, we'd take another forward because there are injuries, depth. He's available because Gardner didn't make the AFCON. He could do the deal on January the 1st and have him for January when we don't have a few other forward players. But if you were spending money, would that be where you spend it?
Absolutely not, in my opinion. I really like him. I think he's great. You make up, and not just you making a good point about the flexibility. It's apparent that Amorim really would like that flexibility from him as well. But you also think, just straight off the bat, would he fit? Like, would he be an improvement on any of the front three? I think.
Well, you need depth as well.
You do need depth, but I just think I don't really know if he fits really that well into those three positions right now. Like, I don't like him. I wouldn't like him as a number 9 in this system.
He's better coming from wide areas. He's an out-to-win player.
Yeah, he's an out-to-win player, and I think in those 10s that we have, I don't think that he's perfectly suited to that well. And then
they apparently looked at him in the summer before they bought Brian Mbeumo, and Bournemouth were asking for a bit too much money at that point because it was after the release clause window had lapsed. So, we bought Mbeumo. That's the player in that position.
I think Mbeumo has got much softer feet. He's much better in those tighter areas than I think Semenyo. And I think that Semenyo's, in my opinion, is best when there's a lot of space around him and he can run into those areas because of his pace. And I think his feet they are really good, but I think they're a little bit harder than what you would potentially want in those tight-knit areas. And I think that's why there's been talk of him potentially coming in and playing as a wing-back. But that just feels stupid. Like, why would you buy a player like that and then play him wing-back? And yeah, maybe he would be a good outlet there, but it's like, why just not buy a specialist wing-back who can go backwards and forwards? And that's what also goes to the wider point. Is he the right player that we need right now? I think no. Like, we need centre mids above anything. We need specialist wing backs to improve upon there. I mean, that you have to sort those two positions out before you find another player who might be able to play in that front three. But I think also look quite awkward in doing so initially.
Yeah, Ruben said the other day that he wants an Ahmad on the other side when he was insulting Patrick Dorgu. Again, it's okay for fans to insult Patrick Dorgu. I mean, there's lots to like about him. He's produced almost nothing in a year at United. We can say it. The manager shouldn't say it in public. I mean, say it behind closed doors.
As long as they're under 23, then they're fair game for Ruben.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Anyway, this notion that he could play at wing back. I mean, I've personally never seen him play there. Did he earlier in his career? Because I don't remember that at all. I'm damn well sure he's not done it for Bournemouth. Did he do it for... Who did he play for before Bournemouth? He was in French football, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Forget.
I
totally forget. Yeah. I mean, all his metrics are... He's in the top bracket for all the attacking metrics. If you wanted an Ahmad on the other side, and you did do that... I mean, if you said that Amorim's vision is to play with lots of attacking players in wide areas, because that's kind of what they did at Sporting. They had Quenda and the other guy on the other side that did really well for him in wing-back areas. They were basically attacking players. And then you play with the three at the back, and the wide centre-backs can fill those channel areas, and you play two sitting. So if the goal is to evolve the central midfield and you have two more, let's say, positionally disciplined defensive players sitting in front, and then lots of attacking players or those two attacking players in those wide areas, and the 10s that are a bit narrower. If you say that's the vision, then you could kind of I guess convince yourself that this is the plan going forward. We've never actually done it. He's never actually played two attacking players in those wing-back roles in 60 games at United. Pretty sure he's never done that. No. It's always more one defensive and one more attacking, or two defensive, which completely neuters the team. So.
And he had the option to do that, I think, with Garnacho last season. If you were going to try because Garnacho was really, really struggling in those 10 positions. You'd think, why not just give it a go, especially towards the end of the year?
Because he's good over big spaces, Garnacho.
Yeah.
And tight spaces.
If you're thinking if that's your vision, if that's what you want to do, and we're losing every week anyway, I'm surprised you didn't ever give that a go. I think that's what people expected Garnacho to play in that position initially. But yeah, it's weird. Even when we have had the option to do that, he's just never tried it. And you think kind of to what the squad is right now, I don't even know who else would be able to play in that wing-back position. It's kind of not even an option anymore.
There aren't, unless you go into the under-21s and ask Tyler Fletcher or Bendito Mantato to do it, both of whom have played that role in the at least both play left back. Yeah. At some points in the 21s, but Amorim showed no intention of doing that, so I don't expect it to happen. To be honest, I think Semenyo will end up somewhere else. Would Liverpool want another wide forward? Could do, depending on how they see the Salah situation, I suppose. City would, but you'd be in a rotation with Ryan Cherki and potentially Bernardo Silva, who may be off in the end of the season anyway, almost certainly, alongside Pep and the rest of the squad when they finally get relegated.
I wonder about a decision. I wonder about Arsenal as potentially a Martinelli replacement.
If Martinelli goes, but it wouldn't be this winter.
So. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. They have a lot of options in wide areas, because they've got Trossard and Saka and Madueke and Martinelli. So, it's... I mean, Real Madrid could do with another one, but really only if Vinicius or Rodrigo go. Mm-hmm. Or they could do with a rotation option. There are a lot of top teams that would want Semenyo. Will it happen this winter? Could do. I mean, the option is there for a lot of teams. Mm-hmm. So they say it's a hard window, but not when you've got a release clause.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, we better talk about Villa. Form team. I was looking at who they've beaten Arsenal and City in this current run. The only team they've lost to is Liverpool in the middle of Liverpool's worst run of form for years, which was slightly odd. There's a lot of chat amongst the data community that are overperforming their stats, and they are. But I also think they're kind of set up that way. So they've got a lot of players who can score in moments. They have conceded more goals than they'd probably like to. They basically concede every game. But they're not shipping loads. What do you make of Villa? They had a tough start to the season, and I think everyone was like, is this the end for the manager? But he's a good coach. He knows what he's doing.
Really is. And like you say, they are overperforming their XG. But then when you look at the way that someone like Morgan Rogers strikes the ball, you're thinking that goal he scored against West Ham at the weekend.
It's not luck, is it? It's just quality.
Yeah, exactly. If you give him a bit of maybe a 5 yards of space in a position quite central, 25 yards out, you're thinking he's probably going to, he might hit the back of their net here. He's going to at least get this on target.
Really good quality player.
He is so good.
England are so stocked in those kind of very highly technical, like attacking midfielder wide players. Yeah,
I see him as even from almost the first moment I saw him in the Premier League, I was like, this guy is something special. The way that he's so technical, so purposeful, and so physical. Like he just shrugs players off. He's like a Jonah Lomu of football in some respect.
Yeah,
and I see
that gives me nightmares. Not that I ever played Jonah Lomu, but I went to the back end of a rugby playing school that was slowly transitioning to being more about cricket, and associated with a once famous rugby club, and it just gives me nightmares because I was kind of skinny and fast, and so I'd get stuck on the wing. I didn't want to play rugby. I hated it, and egg chasing. It's just fucking. It's for piss drinking, like, you know, posh boys, isn't it? And anyway, so I got to throw the ball, and some bruiser would whack me. It's fucking horrible. Hey, anyway, go on. Aston Villa.
That is literally Morgan Rogers when he plays football. You see like players like literally falling off him when they try and barge him out of the way. I mean, imagine him as a 10 at United. He would be absolutely magical, I think, in that position. And I feel like he is just an X factor. And like you say, England are stacked in that position. And there's been this comparison, like, who's he going to play? Is he going to play Morgan Rogers or Bellingham? And you're thinking, Rogers is probably more suited to the England team right now. And
maybe Bellingham creates a lot of shot-creating actions. Like, he makes things happen. So that's why in clutch games you'd probably end up playing Bellingham, even if Rodgers is the form player and looks really good and silky. I mean, you're going to need it could be a very long World Cup in boiling hot conditions. You're going to need all these players anyway.
Yeah, but then the players around him, like McGinn, is ageless. You're thinking like at the start of the season as well, like, oh yeah, they've got players like McGinn. They lost Rashford, they lost Asensio, like both going back on loan. They've not made any signings. They've signed Jadon Sancho. They signed Harvey Elliott, Harvey Elliott's barely kicked the ball for them.
Harvey Elliott's been frozen out. They will not option him. He's not going to play again this season by the looks of it. It's really weird.
Really
Sancho
strange.
has been doing nothing.
Yeah, and
obviously can't play in this one anyway.
All those amazing attacking players they had, and you're thinking, oh, they are going to be in trouble. But then you get players like Marlon stepping up, and Marlon's been great for them. Ollie Watkins hasn't even reached his
barely
top
been
form
scoring.
Yet. Yeah, and you're thinking like Emery is just doing an amazing job, but I think it mostly comes from their midfield, which is like their centre midfield is really, really good, like really physical, really technical. Yes, exactly.
Technical and physical. Onana's probably not the most technical. Kamara's a bit better on the ball, but they both get around the pitch, and that'll be interesting. That matchup with our less than physical. Technically sound, central midfielders, but not very physical, and normally where they struggle in those kind of matchups.
Yeah, and I think what Villa are really good at doing is running right at you with players like Morgan Rogers and players like Onana, who carries the ball really well, and players like Marlon and Watkins. They're very good at running at you. And what we have just been bad at for like the last 3 years or so is teams running at us. And it happened with Bournemouth on Monday night, and whenever they kind of ran at us, they were able to find gaps in our defence and in our midfield, and that's where I feel like Villa are potentially going to hurt us quite badly.
Yeah, I'm worried about this one just because of that physical matchup in midfield. Casemiro suspended. Let's assume that means Duarte in central midfield. He's barely played. Every time he comes on, it's an absolute fucking disaster class. That is not opinion either, is it? It's just true. No. He's been absolutely dreadful. He's put in some world-class stinkers when he's come on for the last 10 minutes, and he's a better player than he's shown, but he's always been a very one-dimensional player. It's what I was worried about that when we signed him. I remember Andy Mitten saying from Paris Saint-Germain sources said he would be our best player. I was like, Really, mate?
Why are they selling it?
Not that Mitten was saying that was his opinion at all, but he'd been relaying what Paris Saint-Germain had said, and I was like, I don't know about this. You know, if you look at Uarte's metrics, it kind of the data and the eye test stack up completely.
Yeah.
So he kicks a lot of people, he makes a lot of tackles, puts in a lot of interceptions. He's absolutely dreadful with the ball at his feet, trying to pass it more than 5 yards. And then, but he's still got I guess amongst the most frustrating things, if he's there because he's supposed to be a good defensive player, he's still prone to making really stupid defensive mistakes as well.
Yeah, it's where he stands and the spaces he covers. Like he is good at winning the ball back, and he's really like good at closing people down. But like you compare him to Casemiro, and you don't even need to like look at where the players are standing. You just look at the way that Casemiro is able to occupy that space and stand in the right areas and get interceptions and tackles by just knowing where to be, and the amount of protection he's able to protect the defense with by just knowing where to be. And Ugarte's not like that. Like Ugarte's always like, they're always playing around him, but that never happens with Casemiro. And yeah, he's slower and he's always like sliding into challenges these days because he hasn't got the legs, but they're not just walking around him like they do with Ugarte. And that's
talking about Casemiro, did you see that clip? He was so mad when he came off against Bournemouth, so frustrating. He was shouting at people. He puts his coat on upside down and didn't even realise. Go find it. It's brilliant. It's really funny. Yeah. I wish we had Casemiro, who was 5, 6, 7 years younger, because it's true, he just doesn't have the legs. He's playing 60 minutes once a week, and that has helped him put in much better performances. When he was trying to play twice a week last year, he was tired, he physically wasn't up to it, his legs had gone, and he was quite dreadful at times. And I think we all thought it was the end, and they've done a very sensible thing for him by managing his minutes. Clearly, he doesn't like it, but it's good for him because we're getting a good hour of high quality from him every game. But he's going to be a miss, you know, and a year ago, I didn't expect it. I thought we would have probably sold him, but we didn't find a buyer, and it's been to our benefit this season. But this is going to be, I mean, a lot of chat against Bournemouth about whether it was 4 at the back or a 3 at the back. I mean, it was a 3 with some flexibility, but we don't have Ahmad, we don't have Mbeumo, we don't have Casemiro. Sesko's just back from injury. What the hell's it going to look like? I mean, I assume Mount will come into the side alongside Cunha and Sesko up front, and Uarte and Fernandes in midfield. Yeah. I don't know what the hell we're going to do in wing-back position. So I guess Dorgu comes in and Dalla goes over to the right. And I don't know. It feels like...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe we have a bit more defensive solidity, but where are the goals going to come from? Every time we play 2 defensive players at wing-back, we're just completely neutered. There's no width and no attacking stuff from wide areas. And so you can just play quite narrow, which Villa will do anyway, and block off all the passing lanes. And where are the goals coming from? I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly negative. I'm sure everyone will tell me that I am being, but I really struggle. It looks like a really difficult game. Is what I'm saying.
I don't think you're being overly negative. Just detailing that and just naming that team that you just named right now is so uninspiring. The wing backs alone is makes me want to cry. It makes me want to cry.
I'm all for Mount being in the side. I think
Mount's great.
He's provided a lot of balance to United. He's obviously just a very different player than Mbeumo. He's not direct, right? So Sesko will be very important to give United some penetration here.
But I just don't think he's going to be fit, and therefore I think we're going to. And he already. I think I like him. I think he's got potential, but I think what we've seen from Šeško right now is that he's not quite up to the intensity of the Premier League. And I think especially when he's coming back from injury, not being match fit, I think he could just look like a bit of a broken man out there, and therefore that is quite uninspiring for me. And I'm also kind of thinking, I wonder if he goes Mount, Cunha and Mainoo in those 3 positions, because I'm thinking, is Šeško going to be
a bit more midfield in there? Yeah,
to maybe keep the ball.
He is up against Victor Lindelof, and Victor Lindelof does not like it in the air.
That's true. Yeah.
Just go stand on Victor and pump some balls at him.
Yeah. But what we lose therefore with our, obviously what we lose without Mbeumo and Mohamed is just that pace and that running in behind.
Running ability, yeah.
Cunha is just, he's great. I really like what we've seen from Cunha. I want to see more, but like he's technically great on the ball, but he's not going to run in behind there. And Mount's obviously not going to do that. And Mainoo's not going to do that. And Šeško can do that a little bit, but if you want him to do the physical stuff and hold up the ball and flick the ball on, who's going to be getting them flick-ons? Like Cunha a little bit, but yeah.
It's not going to run in behind it. That's what Mbeumo does. Yeah. I did notice against Bournemouth, and in fact, it's every game. It always goes along some lemons. It's obviously strategy rather than like him just booting it. But we're not able to hold it up. I think we've got a 51% win rate on 1,146 long balls this season.
Wow.
So I'm sad enough that I did look this up because I was thinking, I have a real problem when they're behind. The Athletic did some analysis on that this week. And even more of a problem when we're ahead because we're a bit frantic and aren't able to control games. And part of that, I think, is to do with our use of the long ball and the fact that we lose it almost half of the time when it goes long.
Yeah, I see it. I used to play when I used to play at a decent level. I used to play for a very good technical team who probably would we're probably playing Division 2 low, but we kept every single time we went ahead in the game, we just completely panicked. And what I eventually put it down to, and I said it in a team talk once, I was like, we just don't believe we're good enough. And we just as soon as we get into a position, we used to just completely our nervous energy would just go spike, and we just get carried away and we get panicky and we just wouldn't believe in our own ability. And I feel like this is the same sometimes with United, that the passing goes, the penetration goes, the way that they were playing before, the way that they were just attacking with purpose goes. I think it went in that Liverpool game. And I know we obviously won that game, but there was a period of time where we were getting a lot of the ball, but we were just kind of we don't know what to do. We don't want to commit too much. We don't want to retreat too much. And we just, there's almost this insecurity in our own ability. We don't believe that we can just go and kill teams and just stamp down on their throat, which we used to be able to.
Keep the bloody ball.
Yeah.
Bloody ball as well.
Keep the ball. Keep passing.
Yeah.
You're Man United. You have got technically great players, and just keep the ball. You can do that, and you see
all right.
at other teams I don't know, are just able to do that, and it's really frustrating.
If you look at the number of 10 plus passing sequences that City and Arsenal and Chelsea complete compared to us in whatever game state, we're a long way from that. It's more chaos than control for sure. All right. Well, it is my birthday on Monday, so I'd really like a victory, please, United. I deserve it.
Yes, you do. Little birthday treat.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Tom. That's somehow a long one. Funny how we managed to extend these podcasts even when there's no game. There's just never a single day of no Manchester United news, is there?
There's always something to moan about.
Isn't there just? Yeah. I was a guest on another podcast this week, and they asked me, where did the name come from? So I explained the story around, Ferguson's verbal tick, but also, evolution from United Rant and Rantcast. And I just didn't feel like the rant piece was quite as relevant anymore. Somehow we managed to do that sometimes, though.
Cool. Yeah, come full circle every now and again.
Now and again. All right, Tom, thank you very much. Backers, patreon.com/NQATpod, or you can become a backer there. Me and Dom talked about some of these system changes this week. You can catch me on Substack as well. I'm still pumping out the content, Tom.
Woo!
Yeah. Go and subscribe. If you subscribe on Patreon, Substack, or Apple, you'll get all the content. I have set it up so it happens, and we appreciate it very much. Tom, are you on the internet these days? I only see you on Blue Sky.
Yeah, it's just a Blue Sky. I'm just a part of the woke brigade on Blue Sky, ranting about the people on Twitter. We rant so much about those Twitter guys.
It's a purity test, isn't it, for you guys on Blue Sky?
Exactly. Oh, no, we're so pure. We are so pure over there. That's all we talk about.
Yeah. Well, you go off there and feel superior. I'm going to go and shout at someone on Twitter or something like that. All right. Thank you very much, listeners, viewers, wherever you are. And Tom, we'll catch you next time.